Good morning, guys. It's Jeff. I'm just waking up here. It's about 4:20 in the morning, and I wanted to just show you my normal morning routine and give you an idea of what I do every morning. And that'll give you some ideas of the lifestyle that I lead here. And of course, one of the things you've noticed is I get up early, and I get up early because 4:30 in Thailand is 1:30 in the afternoon in the US. So by doing that, I'm able to wake up, get some things done, and we'll go check email and see if there's any critical things. And then we'll go for a little walk this morning. I'm going to walk over in around Buddha Hill, and I'll show you a little bit of that too. Little hoarse this morning. I think I've been coughing most of the night, but here we go.
Hey everybody, it's Jeff, and good morning. Beautiful morning here in Pattaya. We're standing in the condo, and I'm just really enjoying the view. But I just would share it with you this morning. It's going to be a beautiful day here, and it's just, it's nice to wake up to this scene every morning. Out in the front out there is Koh Larn, which is the closest bigger island to Pattaya. And you can see maybe in the distance there's some buildings on the shoreline out there, hotels and tourist stuff. And then over here to the other side of the Pattaya Hill Resort, you can maybe see down in the distance Cozy Beach, which is a nice area. And there's a bunch of hotels and condos down that way too. Anyway, just wanted to say good morning. I'm going to give you a little tour with myself today as I go for a walk on what I call Buddha Hill, which is right across the street from my condo, and it's a nice walk, and it's about 1.4 kilometers, so it's a good walk. And then I'll walk up to the Big Buddha and show you the Big Buddha today. So that's kind of where we're at today. Just wanted to fill you in on what's going on for the day, and have a great day. Make your trips wonderful, and just get over here to Thailand and enjoy. Take care. So I'm going to take a little walk here. We're going to go down the front path in front of the condo and head over across the street and then up to Buddha Hill. And I thought today maybe while I do that, I'd talk about something that I've been finding as well. I guess to any other way to put it, it's been a challenge. And it has to do with the fact that, I've been working for 50 years, or maybe a little over 50 years. I started working when I was 14, and I'm now 66. And of course, when I was in school, I wasn't working full time, but I was working almost every day from when I was 16 on. So my lifestyle has been one of a lot of work. I've had a number of businesses that have been successful, and I've had some that weren't so successful. But in the course of doing that, I spent an awful lot of hours. As an entrepreneur, especially, you end up spending a lot of time doing different things, trying different things, and a lot of it's trial and error. Now I look back at it and I go, I'm not sure why I spent so much time doing the things that failed, but I guess that's called learning. Now, probably 15, 16 years ago, I went through a time where I was going through a transition between working for somebody else and coming back to working for myself. And that was a good time for me, but it was a really challenging time. 2009, 2010 was really a tough time for me. And I kind of feel the same right now as I move into the semi-retirement state that I felt then. I feel like there's a big change coming, and I feel like there's a real need for me to be conscious of what I'm doing. But for some reason, this time I'm having a problem getting and staying motivated. Now, I think it's probably, part of it's that I'm living in a place and doing things that are pretty much tourist type activities. And now that I'm finally into the condo and I'm spending time in a normal routine, I'm starting to feel like, oh, I know what's wrong. I need to set some goals. I need to do some things, have some reason to really drive myself forward so that I can get and become what I want. Now it's really easy, I think, when you're, we call it semi-retired, um, because if you have enough money coming in, if you have enough things happening in your life, and you're living a lifestyle that you've always dreamed of, maybe it's hard to want to go back and look at having a goal. And I think goals are really one of those most important things, no matter where you look, whether it's personal development stuff or the Bible or whatever you look at. There's always a need for people to have a purpose, to have a goal. And I spent a few years in that 2010 period working with a fellow by the name of Bob Proctor. And that year and a half that I spent with Bob, working with him and for him, was probably the most personal growth I'd ever had. And one of the things that I really started to understand was the way my mind works. Well, the way all of our minds work. And I think that's important because you understand if you don't have a purpose, if you don't have a goal, something that you're working on, your mind tends to drift. And Napoleon Hill and several of his books said that, drifting is just the way of the devil. You've given your mind to the devil and you're really letting him have control over your life. And that's not really what you want to do because he'll just lead you right down the path to nothing. And it will turn out that you think about nothing, you strive to do nothing, you'll achieve nothing. And that's not what any of us want to do, I don't think. So I'm in that state right now. It's been about 6 months since I officially semi-retired, and I've been going through a lot. I've had to close up the business. I had to do some things, moving out of the office and closing up an office, doing a lot of things like that. And I've been working with a company that is buying out my business. And as I do that, I realize that, I'm not going to have to do much every day because they're taking over the daily operations. And that's a good thing because that was the part of the business that was really burning me out. So that's very good. I still, get up every morning. I still go to work per se for a few hours in the morning, and then I go get some exercise like I am here, or I'm out walking around Buddha Hill. And I really enjoy doing something, to have something to achieve. And I think when you don't have that goal, I mean, the goal to walk around Buddha Hill is not a very big goal, but a goal to come up with something that I want to do, be, and have is pretty important. So I'm going to start really working on that this week. That's my goal is to come up with what the next chapter is going to be. Now, I've done a lot of thinking about this in the past few months, but I haven't really spent much time writing things down and putting them on paper. And I think that something like this, you really need to spend some time, in a quiet place, maybe with a nice cup of coffee like I have here this morning, and spending some time really thinking about what it is that you want. I had a very firm goal coming out of 2010 that I achieved a few years ago. And it was pretty simple. I wanted to start a residual income business that would support my family and myself, and that would be multi generational, and that I could bring my daughter and maybe eventually my grandson into the business. Now, that ended up being the insurance business, which is one of those great businesses that you can start. And once you have it going, can last for a long time. And I think that's something, I would never regret going into the insurance business. I would regret doing it at, 50 years old rather than doing it at 25 years old. But the idea of building something that pays a residual income, because most people renew their insurance, so you sell it once and then they pay again and again, and you get paid every time they pay their bill. So it's a great business. And it was probably one of two or three businesses that I looked at in 2010 that would create that type of income. And I think overall was probably the best thing that I could have done at that time. Now, that's not without challenge because the insurance business takes several years to get profitable. So if you're looking for something with a cash flow, that's a totally different thing. And insurance is not the place that you can do it quickly. You're not going to get big income from selling 3 or 4, 10 policies a month. But as they build and as they grow over a couple, 3 or 4 or 5 years, you're going to get some great residual income. Now, life insurance is probably the opposite of that. Life insurance does create quick income, but most people find that I found life insurance is more difficult than auto and home insurance. So, if you're thinking about the insurance business or ever thought about switching careers, I think it's a great career. It's a great opportunity. Um, if you're younger, it's a great way to build a business that could be multi-generational and you could pass on to your children or your, you know, relatives, and it would be something that could build a great income over time. As we walk around the hill here, you'll notice most of this path is a road. And I always think about a road that's been closed, which is nice because there's no traffic. You don't have to watch out for the occasional car. But I think about having a road that isn't used anymore other than for walking. That's kind of cool. And it's a good little trip here. I remember driving up this road, or being driven. I didn't drive the car up this road before when it was open. But it's got some hills to it. It's got some challenge to it, and that's kind of fun too. So anyway, going back to what I was thinking about with the business, I think once you're an entrepreneur, once you have that spirit in your soul, I started my first business fresh when I was in high school, and then my first what I would call real business. It was full time when I was 27 or 28. And once you get that in you, it's pretty hard to not want to do it. That doesn't mean that it won't be without a lot of challenge, because when you're working for yourself and working with yourself, you've got to really spend as much time on you as you do on your business. And learning that and understanding personal development is really important, because if you don't understand that you've got to develop yourself, you'll never get very far as a self-employed or an entrepreneurial type person. So that's important. I think the other thing that's really important is to realize that if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. There's no sitting still in life. You're either going to be moving forward towards something or you're going to be falling back because things are going to go past you. It's just the speed of the universe and the speed of the world going around you. The world's not going to stop turning because you haven't decided what you want to do. So you're going to be losing ground. And that's kind of where I feel like I am right now. I've been losing ground for a few months, and I don't like that idea at all. So I think as I go forward here this week and maybe in the next month or so, I'm going to look at the things that I've been doing. I've got several things that I kind of started that I haven't finished setting up. Marketing business is something I've always enjoyed. Marketing. That was one of the reasons that I did fairly well in insurance, is that I enjoyed setting up my market and getting those going very well. And I think that's a great way to do things. And I've got a new system that my buddy Frank Kern introduced me to that really is powerful. It means I'm starting all over again, and it means that I've got to find a new customer base and do things differently, which is fine. But I've got to make up my mind to devote the time to it. I started that a few months ago, and kind of since I've been here, I've not done much with it. So I'm going to start going back to that and looking at the training and looking at the things that I've done and see if I can make that work. But I think the other things that I've looked at in the past, including, working for somebody part time or working um, at a company part time, probably aren't going to be things I want to do. I think the entrepreneurial thing is just in me, and it's one of those things that I really enjoy working for myself. But again, to move forward working for myself, I've got to think through and come up with a goal and a purpose for that goal. And that's not always easy. I remember, back years ago when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I remember my friend Bob Proctor looking at me and said, "What do you want?" And I didn't answer, of course. And he said, "Well, what do you really want?" And I was kind of stunned that he was pushing it that hard. But he made me come to the realization that what I really wanted was to grow that family business and to make it work. And I can tell you that in 7 years, 6 or 7 years, that reality of that goal happened, and then I kind of fell complacent because my daughter was working for me and things were going well, and it was all good. And then, as anything, we weren't moving forwards, we're moving backwards. And after the pandemic, especially, things kind of went sideways during the pandemic. And then we went downwards after the pandemic. So it was a good time for me to make some changes. I mean, the fact that I'm 66 years old has a little bit to do with it, but the other part of it is that I was, after 16 years, I was ready. I was ready to make a change, and I was ready to do something different. So I think that's all good, and I can happily say that things worked out really well, and I'm happy with that. So letting go of the past, starting to move forward, and spend some time thinking about writing down, figuring out what it is that I really want for the next chapter. I say the rest of my life. How do you figure out the rest of your life? But the next chapter, I need to figure out what path I'm going to get on and get on the path and make it happen. Now, one of the biggest things I think people come up to is they get scared and they're afraid that they'll fail at what they're doing. I can honestly say that I'm pretty good at not thinking that way, but it's only after years of practice that, if I fail, it's just that didn't work and that the opportunity was different than what I thought it should be. And it was not, for whatever reason, it wasn't what it was going to be. So I'm really good about looking at that going, okay, no, that it's not ever get hung up on something. It's just go to the next opportunity and try that. So, well, many people, entrepreneurial people or people that think they want to go into business get stuck and they think that they failed once and that it won't happen. I think the biggest thing with people and starting a new business or starting a new thing is they never do it. They think about it, they say they're going to do it, and then they never do it. When I was coaching people a few years ago, it was amazing to me how many people would say, "I want to start my own business." And we'd work through the process of what they needed to do, give them some ideas, get them going. They'd have a basic business plan sketched out, ready to go, and then they'd never do it. It's always blew my mind because they were scared, and that fear was bigger than anything else. And the best way to get through that initial fear is just to do something. And I always figured when we were coaching folks that if you get them to write out a business plan and they've got a plan to do things, they should be able to get going from there. But the part I missed or the part they missed is that you got to take action, because action is really the most important step of the whole process. As soon as you take the first step, even if you don't know what the second step is, leads to the next. And as you stand there on the next step, you'll be looking around going, oh, that's what's next. And it always appears as you move forward. Sometimes it won't appear until you move forward. And that's kind of scary sometimes. But it's really, you've got to just keep moving, and you've got to just keep doing things to move forward. So that's the first step, right? Is to sketch out what you want, have your goal, have your idea of what you think you want, figure out why you want it, the purpose of it, because that's what's going to drive you forward. You can do it on logic to a certain degree until you really fall in love with the idea of what you want. It's really hard to um, keep going sometimes. So that would be my impression to myself and to anybody else who's going through a transition. Figure out what you want, figure out why you want it, and then, start writing that out and understand that, you know, you're going to be happy, you're going to be grateful, and you're going to move towards that. And you're going to use some positive things to make you go with it. And it's something I've helped a lot of people with. It's something I've done myself many times, but sometimes it's hard just to take that first step. And I think today is the day I start that first step, as I spend some time figuring out what I want. It doesn't have to be financial. Usually people find really easy to set a financial goal, but figure out why you want the financial goal. Let's say you want to make $100,000 a year, and that's not pretty hard to fall in love with just making $100,000 a year. Or if you say, I want to make $100,000 a year so I can take a trip, so I can live a certain lifestyle, so I can have what I want. My idea of freedom has always been, I want to be free, and freedom to me means I can do what I want when I want without regret or without, having to really think too much about it. Now, what does that mean? That means that I've got enough money to do the things I want to do. It means I have enough money that I don't have to really worry about it. I don't have to count pennies in order to know, can I make this trip or can I do this thing? And that's important. It's how much money do I need? Well, I can figure that out now, because I know that some of the things I want to do, I can build a list and say this trip's going to cost me this much. This new car is going to cost me this much. I can set those things up in my mind. I can set it up in a spreadsheet, and then I can say this is how much money I need. When I'm starting to think about money, I don't think about money. I think about the trip I want to take. 'Cause that's what I'm in love with. And it's really important that after you meet one of those little goals, let's say you have a trip to go to Europe, and that's one of the things on your list, and it's going to cost $10,000 to do. And you've gone, you've had the trip, you've come back, you're sitting at home, relaxing, and you've got to turn around again and say, now what do I want? Because if you don't have that next step, you don't have that next goal, it's going to be pretty hard to keep yourself motivated. You just accomplished what you wanted. Celebrate celebrate the win, celebrate the victory, and then move on to the next goal that you want to meet. And you keep replacing those goals until you've met everything that you can think about. Bob used to say, write down what are the things you want. Write down as many as you want on a piece of paper, and then pick out the most important one. Cross that off once it's done, and then pick out the second most important one. You may have to rewrite them if it's been a while, because things will change as you change. But it's so important to keep that goal and to keep the idea of something that you want, something that you really want to fall in love with, that you'll achieve, that will happen. And I can't tell you how much um, more fun it is to go through life with a goal and to reach out and have that rather than just drifting. I think every personal development author or teacher I've worked with has always suggested have a goal. Sometimes they don't tell you why. They just tell you have a goal. You need one. But I think it's really a matter of it's the human design that we were designed to be a goal seeking entity. And because we're goal seeking, if we don't have a goal, we start to fail. And it's so important. We're coming up on the walkway up to the Big Buddha. It always amazes me. These steps are about 3 inches, and then it goes to bigger steps as you go up further. But rather than make all the steps the same, going up this pathway, they've made 3 or 4 different depths of steps, heights of steps, I guess is the right word. And you really have to think about it. At least I do. I don't have a big problem with balance, but have to kind of watch, what you're doing because there's different spaces between them. They'll have these little flat places, and you go into the higher step, and then you go into a higher step. And it's kind of interesting. I was kind of there thinking about, okay, this is weird. But anyway, the big Buddha is up here on top of this hill. And I think, to the Thai people, Buddha is really important. The country is like 90% Buddhist. And the Thai people just love Buddha, and they'll come up here and they'll pay tribute, and they'll money and different things. There's a lot of different things up here, and I don't know all of them by any means, but it's interesting to see all these figurines and Buddhas up here because it's kind of gives you an idea of everything. I've been up here with Thai people before, and it's totally different because they'll be stopping and doing different things, lighting incense and giving some money to different things. Um, this whole area, all the Buddhas are painted, by the way, in this area. There's no gold, but there are some gold ones off to the side over there that are by themselves that you can't touch, obviously. But it's a pretty place, and it's nice up here on top of the hill. And you really get a nice view of Jomtien Bay and the greater Pratam Jomtien area up here as we get up to the top. Anyway, it's been a goal to reach the top today, and I did that. And now I've got to set a new goal. And I'm going to be setting my new goal today to come up with what it is that I want and to really start working towards that. Now, I know I've shared a lot here about personal development, but it's important, and I hope that you're on a path that you're happy with, that you have a purpose, that you have a goal that you're reaching for, and that things are moving ahead for you. If for some reason you've lost that path, you've lost that purpose, um, you can always start over. And if you need some help, I'd be happy to talk to you. I uh, I think sometimes you just need somebody to kick you in the butt and get you going. But I think overall the idea is that we're here to help each other, that we're here to really make life good for each other. And as that happens, I know myself anyway, I really do like helping people, and I really do enjoy doing things that are meaningful. So if you need a little motivation, you need a little bit of help, we can schedule a time to talk and talk about that. Happy to do it. But I really thank you if you've made it all the way through this, the 30 minutes here. I hope that you didn't get too bored. Hopefully, there's been enough to see and enough to listen to. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what to make for these videos, so I'll be trying a few different things. Just thought today I'd make it different. So I hope that you're well and good, that your travels are safe, and that you'll get over here to Thailand real soon and enjoy this beautiful country with us. Take care. We'll talk to you later. This is John T. I'm Jeff.